do here is just walk through kind of the intersection of biomechanics, motor learning, movement control, coordination, and kind of how they all interact with one another in a real life example. So this is a golfer I work with who was telling me he was having some back pain recently. And so the first thing I do in this situation is I want to look at the swing, because he was telling me it's really tied to the golf swing. So what I do is I watch it swing like 50 times. I watch it in slow motion. I watch it down the line view, which is this one. I watch a face-on view. And I just want to really feel like I understand his movement. And then I'll compare what I know about his flexibility and his strength and see if there's any explanations there. After I've done that a bunch, I start looking at positions I think could explain it. So for him, I froze him at impact. What I want to notice at impact here is look at these hips. You can see his left glute is back all the way to the camera, which is, first of all, an awesome move. The fact that he can get into this position is huge for power development and delivering the club to the ball. The next thing I look at is his foot position, and I notice it's almost completely flat on the ground. So now we've got the hips rotating rapidly toward the target or out to the left, and we've got a foot stuck to the ground. So we've got a fixed piece in the foot and a moving piece in the hips. That's a lot of separation between those two pieces. So I know that unless there's mobility here that is more than 99.99% of people, that's going to be a really tough position to get into. And so I note that, and then I start going to YouTube and I start watching professional golfers swing. Now, they might have pain too, but if we look at a bunch of swings, we can usually find some common themes. So I will go here, and what I notice in this position is hips wide open, just like the client, but I look at this back foot, and it's nearly coming completely off the ground in a similar position. So while the hips are all the way open, I know the stress probably isn't as high because the foot's lifting. And I find another one. Again, hips are open, similar to the first example, but the foot is off the ground. I'm going to take you back to that first one, and again, you'll see foot squarely planted on the ground. Well, now I want to know, does anyone get into that position where their foot's on the ground? And I find that. In this one, the foot is a little bit closer to the ground, but you see the hips aren't nearly as open. This is probably kind of a good example of an in-between. Hips starting to open, not as dramatic, but foot closer to the ground, so not quite coming all the way up yet. Now look to another example. Now I find one I like to see where the foot is really squarely on the ground, but look at the hips. They're not nearly as wide open. So what I'm seeing is that most golfers either keep their foot on the ground and their hips don't fly open as fast, or their hips fly open just as fast, but the foot's going to lift. So when he's doing two things that both increase the stress, and I know that stress has to go somewhere and that the back is a likely culprit, that's when I'm starting to say, okay, well, maybe that's the issue. So I go through that, I tell him, I give him this whole spiel, I basically record this video saying the same things. He goes to work with his golf instructor, and they talk through it. Obviously, the golf instructor has more experience and expertise than I do, so he puts his spin on it. Comes in a few days later, tells me they actually worked on getting an earlier foot release, letting that foot roll a little bit earlier to get it off the ground. Gets through a lesson, no back pain, no issues after. So that none of that would have ever been able to happen if I didn't understand both the biomechanics of the human body and what the player is working with, and how they interact with one another. And then we have to add a motor learning principle, like this is feedback here, this is video feedback. You might do some drills that are video feedback or some other types of drills to learn to let that foot release earlier, and then he's putting those same motor learning principles right back into play to get a swing to where it won't cause him pain. When it doesn't have pain, he can practice more, play better golf, avoid injury, nothing but good things. So just thought that'd be helpful for everyone to get a little glimpse into what I do and how some of the principles that we talk about in class play out in the real world. Hope you enjoyed.